This March 1st, Yellowstone National Park celebrated its 150th anniversary. As my own personal celebration, I'm going to count down the top 15 reasons why I love Yellowstone National Park. I've only visited Yellowstone a few times in my life. However, it holds a very special place in my heart, and I'd love to share it with you. Without further ado, here are the top 15 reasons why I love Yellowstone National Park. Number 15. It's the first national park. On March 1st, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signed the Yellowstone National Park Protection Act into law. Yellowstone was not only the first national park in the United States, it was the first one in the entire world. This kicked off the legacy of national parks, conservation and preservation of beautiful places all around the planet. Number 14, wildlife. Yellowstone, being a national park, serves as a refuge for all sorts of animals. This wildlife includes bears, beavers, bobcats, badgers, salamanders, frogs, and so much more. Number 13. Mammoth Hot Springs. One of the most iconic features of Yellowstone National Park are the terraces of Mammoth Hot Springs. What look like cliffs made out of snow and ice are actually formed in a process very similar to stalactites and stalagmites in caves. Acidic water dissolves limestone deep underground. It makes its way up to the surface and deposits the limestone. This creates these one-of-a-kind formations. So many locations throughout Yellowstone look like the surface of an alien planet. In my unprofessional opinion, Mammoth Hot Springs takes the cake as the winner. Number 12. Old Faithful. Possibly the most synonymous location with Yellowstone National Park is the Old Faithful Geyser. This geyser is named for its consistent eruptions. It erupts about 20 times a day, sending boiling hot water skyrocketing 130 feet into the air. Number 11. Wolves. An animal I did not mention on the wildlife entry was wolves. And this is because the story of Yellowstone and wolves is deserving of its very own entry. Gray wolves were hunted to near extinction in the 1920s, and they were absent from Yellowstone National Park for decades. Then in 1995, 41 gray wolves were reintroduced into the park. The gray wolf is the primary predator of the elk. The lack of wolves led to a population explosion of elk. This had very negative consequences for many other animals in the park. The reintroduction of wolves had a massive positive effect throughout the entire ecosystem. If you'd like to hear a more detailed version of the wolf story in Yellowstone, I'll link a video down below. Number 10. The Firehole River. Swimming in the Firehole River is one of my favorite childhood memories. What starts off as a freezing cold mountain stream warms up to a whopping 30 degrees Celsius, that's 86 degrees Fahrenheit, thanks to geyser runoff. When I was little, swimming around in the Firehole River was a magical experience. I felt like I was in a giant flowing hot tub. I wouldn't trade that memory for anything, except maybe another trip to the Firehole River. Number 10. The Yellowstone Yellow Buses. Though I have never ridden in one of these buses myself, they remain iconic nonetheless. These yellow buses have been in the park since the 1920s. At their peak, there was over 400 buses touring the park. Today, there are still 8 vintage white motor coach buses that you can tour Yellowstone's most famous locations in. If you want to learn more about the Yellowstone Yellow Buses, I'll link an article down in the description. Number 8. The Bison. The history of bison and Yellowstone National Park is a comeback story for the ages. It is also a fantastic example of conservation efforts, past, present, and future. In an attempt to wipe out the native people's primary food source, the bison, the United States government sanctioned the killing of millions of bison until there was only a handful left. They were highly endangered, and the outlook for the species was extremely bleak. In 1902, Yellowstone purchased 21 bison from private owners and began to breed them. Today, Yellowstone's bison population hovers between 2,300 and 5,500 bison. The bison population will likely never reach the millions that it once was, but at least they're not extinct. There is a lot I had to leave out of the bison story at Yellowstone, so as usual, there's a link to more information down in the description. Number 7. Geysers. Yellowstone is home to, and is primarily known for, its geysers. Geysers occur when groundwater is geothermally heated to boiling temperatures. This boiling expands and shoots very hot water up into the sky. Yellowstone has over 300 geysers. This is more than half of the geysers on the entire planet. Number 6. The fire story. In 1988, a perfect storm of unburnt underbrush, a dry summer, and lightning led to the Yellowstone fire. This fire scorched 800,000 acres, nearly a third of the park. In addition to the firestorm, a meteor storm burned as well, scorching the reputation of the park nearly as bad as the fires. For most of that summer, Yellowstone was no more, at least in the public's eyes. But the next summer, something amazing happened. Plants of all sorts began sprouting up in the scorched terrain. Like a phoenix rising up from the ashes, the flora of Yellowstone began anew. But why did this happen? Fires are bad, right? Well, fires happen naturally. Much of the plants at Yellowstone have natural defenses against wildfire. In fact, some of the plants depend on wildfire to spread its seeds. The lodgepole pine is a perfect example. During a wildfire, the lodgepole pine's pine cones pop open, spreading their seeds around, ready to begin the next generation of lodgepole pines. If you'd like to learn more about the fire in 1988, I'll link a video down in the description. Number 5. The Old Faithful Inn. The Old Faithful Inn is a one-of-a-kind structure. Its architecture lies somewhere between a log cabin and a skyscraper. It was built in the years 1903 and 1904. Situated right next to the Old Faithful Geyser, the inn features a glorious view of the surrounding mountains, and the interior is awe-inspiring to say the least. This one-of-a-kind structure is certainly worth a visit if you're anywhere near it. Number 4. It's a volcano. The reason why Yellowstone has geysers in the first place is because it's a volcano. The Yellowstone caldera has been fueling the hydrothermal features of Yellowstone for the past 2 million years or so. If the Yellowstone supervolcano ever erupted, it would not be very good. However, there is a bunch of videos about that topic already, and an eruption is very unlikely to happen. If you'd like to learn more about the Yellowstone supervolcano and the geologists that monitor it, I'll link a video down below. Number 3. Boardwalks. The boardwalks are a fun and easy way to get close but not too close to Yellowstone's signature attractions. I have a very distinct childhood memory of my family and I walking on the Old Faithful Boardwalk. All of a sudden, a small geyser erupted and sent a bunch of boiling hot water towards my brother and I. We were absolutely terrified we were about to be drenched in boiling water. When the water hit us, it was lukewarm at best. It was lukewarm because the boiling hot water cooled off in the air on its way towards us. The main reason, however, why we were completely safe was because we stayed on the boardwalk. If you are ever on one of the boardwalks, do not get off the boardwalks, especially if you're into having your skin attached to your body. Number 2. The Grand Prismatic Spring. If you look up Yellowstone, the Grand Prismatic Spring is one of the first images that pops up. Its vivid coloration comes from the microbial mats that thrive in the hot conditions. Number 1. Aliens. The number 1 reason why I love Yellowstone National Park is because it is home to aliens. But this is not the History Channel, so we have standards here. As I mentioned earlier, the reason why the Grand Prismatic Spring is so beautiful is because of microbial mats. These microbes, however, are not your standard run-of-the-mill algae. In addition to thriving in temperatures of 80 degrees Celsius, 176 degrees Fahrenheit, these organisms thrive in environments as acidic as a car battery and as basic as drain cleaner. Life on other celestial bodies could look a lot like the thermophiles found at Yellowstone National Park. NASA has actually funded research at Yellowstone National Park for this specific purpose. As usual, if you want to learn more, I'll put a video down in the description. I am not a scientist or an employee of Yellowstone, but an example of thermophiles similar to those at Yellowstone could be found in our very own solar system at Saturn's icy moon Enceladus. Despite its icy exterior, Enceladus has a subsurface ocean that is nearly boiling. This is not directly heated by the sun, but rather tidal heating. Think of it like bending a paperclip back and forth. The metal will reach very high temperatures because of stress. If you try the paperclip experiment, remember, you are not a thermophile and you will probably get burnt, so be careful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any input on my video, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. Let me know what other sorts of videos I should do in the future.